Alright, hello everyone, it's Happy, and before this video starts, I want to talk about the campaign Huawei are running for you guys. This time they have a 30% discount on the Premium Pass / the Battle Pass, and then a 10% points back. And the participation is very easy, and the way to participate is to use an emulator or an Android phone, and then you have to link your account to Facebook. Then download the AppGallery using the link below, and then create an account in the AppGallery. The most important thing is to make sure to set your account in the Netherlands or Italy so that you can join the campaign. Then you have to delete the game and re-download it from the AppGallery. Simple as that. And I hope you guys enjoy the video. Alright, hello everyone, it's Happy, and today we're going to be talking about the top 5 tech trees you guys need to grind in 2023. And this is obviously an updated version from my old video, and that's because a lot of things have changed in the game, and a lot of tier 10 tanks and below have obviously been moved around, buffed and nerfed, and so this is an obviously updated video. Now, back in the day, I would have said tanks like the AMX 50B and the Grill 15 would be a go-to for many players. Nowadays, I wouldn't necessarily recommend them. That's because a lot of these tanks have been nerfed and some of these tanks have been buffed. And so this list is a little bit different. First, we're going to be talking about the 2 essential tech trees newer players need to grind first. And they are going to be heavy tanks. And the first one is obviously going to be the old school E100. This is because the E100 has been buffed a little bit, and every single tank in this tech tree is very good. So you have the VK36 at tier 6, then the Tiger 1, the Tiger 2, and then the E75. All of them are very good tanks, and they're going to teach you a little bit more about the game if you're a newer player. Even if you're a veteran player and you don't have this tech tree, which doesn't necessarily make sense, you need to get this tech tree because the E100 at tier 10 is also very good. Now, the other tech tree I would recommend for newer players is the IS-7 line. This line is not insanely good, but it's not horrible. I feel like this tank forgives a lot of mistakes. If you start all the way at tier 6, you have the KV-1S with the big alpha gun, the IS-2, and then you have the IS-3, IS-8, and then the IS-7. Most of these tanks, apart from the IS-8, all of these tanks, apart from the IS-8, more or less, will forgive your mistakes. This is essential for a new player because, for example, the IS-7 can be very troll. If you push around the corner with your side sometimes, you might be able to deflect a shell, simply because you're in an IS-7. Same with the IS-3, for example. You know, like, these tanks will definitely forgive your mistakes, and they will teach you how to more or less play a bit more accurately, how to more or less position yourself a little bit better. At least that's the way I think about it. And the IS-7 also got obviously an armor buff compared to my previous video, and so it has become a lot stronger. Now, the next tech tree I would like to recommend for intermediate levels is the M6 Yo. First, you have the M6 itself at tier 6, which is very strong in regards to its armor. Then you have the M7 Yo, the M3 Yo, and the M5 Yo. These tanks are not necessarily the best, but they're still pretty good, especially if you look at the M3 Yo at tier 8. It has a nice gun, you know, decent armor, decent mobility. It's quite good at everything it does. It's quite decent. Now, the M5 Yo at tier 9 is also a really weird looking tank. It's probably one of the weirdest tanks in the game, but still, the only problem with this tank is probably the DPM. The DPM is horrendous on this thing. That's why I wouldn't necessarily recommend this tech tree for newer players. It's just because the whole drum mag is very confusing, you know, like, and the gameplay sometimes might be very dull, and you need to be able to know what you're doing. You need to be able to shoot out all your shells properly, know when to reload, etc. So it may be a little bit trickier. So that's why I wouldn't say this is a tech tree for newer players. So the tier 9 is a little bit iffy, but overall it's a very good tech tree, especially because you get the M6 Yo at the end, which was one of the strongest tier 10s when it first came out. Now it's not as strong, but it's still a very solid tank. The mobility is decent, the armor is good, and you have a very solid gun. And overall, you can rack up so much damage in this thing. It's just a really good tech tree. Now, moving along in regards to TDs, I would still say the Object 268 has the best tech tree out there. That's simply because you have the SU100 at tier 6. At tier 7, you have the very fun SU152. At tier 8, you have the ISU152, which has that humongous BL10. And then the Object 704, which has some really solid DPM and alpha. And then you have the Object 268, which is definitely not the best TD, but for a newer player or an intermediate, I feel like this tech tree would be perfect because the tier 10 is also solid and the tier 10 is good at everything it does. In regards to the camo, in regards to the mobility, in regards to the DPM and the alpha, everything is just very solid. Now, coming in at number 5, the last tech tree I would have recommended. This one was quite tricky for me. I was thinking about maybe putting the Minotauro, and then I was like, no, probably not. I was thinking about the Kron, and then I was like, no, probably not. And I definitely came up with the 60 TP. And again, this is a heavy tank, but the tech tree itself is just very good. I don't know about the tier 6 and 7 tanks. I don't think they're that great. But starting from tier 8 and up, I think they are very solid tanks indeed, especially when you get the 60 TP at the end. You don't necessarily need a huge introduction to this tank, and I feel like it's just a solid tech tree. But overall, it was quite hard for me to find another tech tree that was like really solid. But tell me what you guys think about this in the comment section below, and I hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you guys next time. Happy is out. Bye-bye.